higher power, but also kind of made it too late for him to go back. Though we know there was no going back because nobody else came back from it. I think it was just meant to be over the top, for a reason like that.
Yeah. Well, once Marlowe's dead, tell me your opinion on this. These other vampires just kind of like leave. They leave. And while I have no problem with that, I'm trying to figure out if they left because Dawn was coming, which it was, or a combination of the two maybe, because Marlowe's dead. They don't have any kind of leadership. I mean, all they did is shriek at each other anyway. So maybe without a leader, they don't have any direction.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were scared of Eben. I'm not sure.
I think it was a mix of both. He's like, wow, you totally destroyed our leader, and shit, what the hell are we going to do now? Kind of reaction,
Yeah, so Eben asked Stella if he should chase them down, and she's like, oh, no, the Dawn's coming. So we don't ever get an answer on, whether he should go after them. But I think the ending here is really freaking cool, where, now, again, too much CGI is irritating, but I don't know how you could do this any other way. Evan said that him and Stella were going to be together at dawn, and they were. And Stella's sitting there holding him, in her arms, as you can see the pain as he just slowly incinerated and turned into ashes by the sun. And to me, it's kind of a downer ending, but also a really good ending, appropriate for how the movie went. He dies a hero. I mean, he saves the town or whatever was left of it. But, yeah, I thought the ending was really cool, other than the CGI ashes. But, again, I don't know you could do that any other way. I'm just not sure how. I mean, I'm sure you could, but it would probably be hard. So, Vic, I guess I'll go with your thoughts first, sir, since you watched it today, and Blake might have too.
No, I don't.
Oh, well, my thoughts are pretty quick and simple. I thought it was too long, but lots and lots and lots and lots of blood, and that made me happy. I think I liked it more than I thought I would, but I was tired. I dozed off a little bit because somebody kept me up all night. But
and blame Alabama, dude. That wasn't my fault.
Yeah,
my feet are bitching about it, though. I'll tell you that much.
Do it.
See, let me tell everybody the story. Last night we stayed up. We went to the gym at like 9 o'clock, and the national title game was on, the football national title game. And so we work out, and I'm like, Vic, let's just get on the treadmill and watch the rest of the game. So we do. We get on the treadmill, and I'm not talking we're standing there. We're walking the entire time. And this went on for like an hour and a half, and the game just would not end. And it went on till midnight. So we're in the gym like dumbasses on the treadmill till midnight, and then it ended the way we did not want it to. So we wasted all that time, but we only destroyed all parts of our body afterwards. I mean, like, I don't know about you, but I'm fucking sore today. But I'm ready to do it again tomorrow. So
I'm sore as fuck. I'm not gonna lie about that. But anyway, but yeah, man, I thought it was pretty good. Well, like you said, I mean, I enjoyed it. It had more blood than I thought it was going to, so that was always that's a plus for me. I think I got to go with a 2.75. 2.75. Not quite a 3.
All right.
Close.
That's Vic. And Vic, you had told me you'd watched it before whenever we did another show, and I didn't realize you'd ever seen it before. You probably didn't remember most of it, though. Vampires aren't your genre, that's for sure.
Yeah. Didn't remember it all. I mean, I watched it once upon a time, long time ago, and, I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, what about you, Blake? Talk about it.
Well, like I said, I try to stay up and, kind of, in tune and in touch with all things horror. This one was one that I had initially heard about when it came out, but there were things going on at the time. I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't watch it. Because I remember I wanted to see this one and then Midnight Meat Train, and I hadn't seen either one of them. And I still haven't seen that one. But
I have. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I've heard it is, and I plan on, making that a reality soon. But I thought that for what it was, a decent mix of practical and CGI, effects-wise. A good bit of story, an interesting story, something that really hadn't been tackled before with the whole 30 Days of Polar Night. That was something that kind of hadn't been done before, other than in the Dark Horse comics. And, great producing and directing team, Rob Tappert and Sam Raimi, they both did the Evil Dead, so it's kind of like, a cool kind of, modern thing that they could do. And, of course, this film didn't really have very many of those jump cut documentary style footage, kind of scenes sort of like the original couple of Evil Deads had. So it was more just a straight modern horror film, but I liked it. I like vampire films. I'm kind of picky about the ones I watch. I wasn't big into the whole Twilight things. I still haven't seen all of those and don't plan on it. But, I liked Fright Night. I liked The Night Flyer. I liked all those. Interview with the Vampire and Dracula with Gary Oldman and all the, Bela Lugosi stuff. So this was kind of a cool way to continue that vampire tradition. Overall, it was really good. I didn't feel it was too long. I mean, it was long, but it wasn't as long as like Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. That was, oh my God, that was like the Titanic of horror movies.
That was a saga.
It was like the Titanic of horror movies. It was. I was like, did Jim Cameron have a part in this? I don't know. It's kind of long, but yeah, it was good. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 4 just because it was new to me. I kind of was partial to Dark Horse comics growing up. I read a lot of Wizard, magazines or the Guide to Comics, and it's not in, production anymore. That company long gone, but it was a throwback to that for me, and it was horror, so I wanted to give it a shot. And when I found out you guys were doing a show on it, I was like, hey, it gives me a good enough reason to sit down this weekend and watch it with the wife. That was one of our romantic things we did with each other, was watch this movie, because I don't think either one of us had seen it before.
No, that's really cool that you guys got to watch that. My wife had seen it before too, so she didn't watch it with me this time around. But, again, I watched it like 8 times. So to me, out of the movies I've seen, this is actually my favorite Josh Hartnett role, because I don't care about him in H2O. And, yeah, I remember him from Faculty, but his character in this I thought was pretty cool. It was just an interesting character that was kind of going through some things, and just to see, him in that role was, I thought, enjoyable. But, okay, so I'm going to get into the bad first. We've talked about a lot of it already. I thought the CGI, a lot of it was annoying. Like, some of the CGI blood spray was fine, but, like, the CGI snow, I don't know why it bothered me this time. Like, whenever it's coming down, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that doesn't even look real. So that bothered me a little bit, but like the little girl scene, that was dumb. As cool as Josh Hartnett putting his fist through Marlowe was, at the same time I take a step back and I'm like, yeah, but you just took me completely out of the, I don't know, this is like action / horror, but I wish it would have been a little bit more horror and less action. It didn't go full Resident Evil on me, where I'm just like, this movie sucks because it's nothing but action, but it should be horror. But they took it out of straight horror to something a little. I guarantee it was a product of its time, though. Because this is when Resident Evil movies were all getting churned out, so I'm sure they tried to go along with that. And you're right, it is a comic book thing too. But so that bothered me a little bit. And I say this all the time to Vic. I'm like, Vic, I love vampire movies. I love vampire stories. Well, okay, maybe vampire movies isn't the word I'm looking for. I love vampire stories. But most vampire movies as a whole, there are some good ones, yes. But most of them aren't that great. I can't think of too many that I'd give 4 machetes out of 4 to. I mean, that's legit. Like, I can't think of too many because they're mostly the same thing, or they're just not that well done. Because you can only do Dracula so many different ways. But this one was a completely unique and different way of putting a vampire movie together. Again, the vampire's motive for the whole thing, it seemed really odd because they weren't really feeding, they were just like killing. Which, if you're serial killers, I guess that works, but if you're vampires, it doesn't make as much sense. So that's the end of my bad as far as I can tell. But the good, again, was the unique concept that Blake talked about, the idea that you have 30 days of night. These vampires can do whatever the hell they want. And anybody being trapped anywhere is scary, I think. You know, whether you do things to, you know, like they didn't have jump scares out the ass in this or anything, so maybe it wasn't too scary, but the idea of it, I think, is. The vampires were pretty cool. They looked pretty sweet. Marlowe was awesome. I like that dude. Too bad he took a punk death. Like I said, Josh Hartnett, I enjoyed the ending of the movie, CGI aside. But I tell you what, we mentioned this show I mentioned this movie on the top 5 winter horror movies ever, when we did that show. And, you know, of course I had The Thing at number 1, but I know I had Adam Green's Frozen on there, and I had The Shining, and I know this was in my top 5 also. And it still would be if we were to do a list today. I think it's really good. And this is one of those time cells where we've all got different ratings, and that never happens, I feel like. I got 3.5 out of Machetes. It's a high 3.5 out of 4 Machetes. It's a high 3.5 also. I came real close to giving it 4, but there were just some things, mainly the CGI, that kept me from giving it a 4. But the fact that it's a vampire movie that I love, and that it goes outside the usual vampire stuff, and that we get so much blood all over the snow. And I think the story's interesting. And I know they did some other stories. There's some things I'd like to know, but I'm sure they're just not as good, the other movies. I may have seen the sequel to this, and there might be more than one. I know there's all sorts of stories out there. Like, there's one that says that, like, Ken Foray's in it, and somebody else that we know from the horror genre. So I have to look into those and find out if they're worth a damn. But for this movie, again, a high 3.5 out of 4. I can't quite go 4, but one of the best. If we were to do a top 10 or top 5 vampire movies of all time, this would definitely be on my list, and probably pretty high up there too. So we were all over the place this week. 3.5. 2.75, and a 3. So I thought Blake would like it better than you, Vic. I'm not surprised. I was thinking you would go 3, Vic. I think it's probably your mindset going into that you were tired.
Yeah, I was tired and it was long.
You keep saying it's long. We had to make Vic watch Interview with the Vampire. He'd hate his life.
What did you say?
I said we should make you watch Interview with the Vampire. That movie feels long too. Even though I like that movie.
Is horrible. That's one of my least favorite movies of all time. I hate it. I saw it in the theater and I wanted to skip the rest.
I actually like it, but I could see how you wouldn't. Yeah, Vic just doesn't like the same things as us, Blake, all the time. So it is what it is.
That's okay. That's all right.
All right, so fellas,
mm-hmm.
I need help. Okay, and here's what I'll tell you: I need help with. So on January 23rd, I am interviewing Peter Watts about the short story "The Things." Blake, have I told you about The Things?
No, you have not.
And I've told Vic many times. The Things is a short story by Peter Watts, obviously. Well, I call it a short story, but if you ever look at it in writing, it doesn't feel short. But he wrote, really, it doesn't. It's a lot of words. He wrote a story, okay, and it is like a different perspective on John Carpenter's The Thing. Or if you want to, Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. And the idea is that the narrator is the thing. And it's telling about assimilating people and why it does it, and it doesn't understand why people are trying to kill it. And it's just really cool to hear it from that perspective, And it's also telling you things that maybe were or maybe weren't true in The Thing, but he's flat out saying it, like that Childs was absolutely one of them, that he had been invaded previously type thing. Things that we weren't sure about, maybe it was true, maybe, but he just goes in a different direction and says, yes, this is what happened here. But he's telling it from, again, the aliens' perspective. And if you ever get the chance, there's an audio. Well, there's lots of audio. A lot of people have done recordings of this where they are reading The Things. Or you can just go read it yourself. It's on Clark's World. magazine, and it's actually on a website. It's for free. It's out there. You can find it. But so I'm going to be talking to the author of that because, it's winter, and what I always love